Hey everyone, Bright Builder here. Today I'm going to be walking through how to build a simple Minecraft house. Now, Minecraft houses can be rather tricky to build, especially if you don't have many resources. Early in the game it can be difficult to come across many of the more valuable building blocks that can be found in Minecraft, and I've found that often I'm restricted to things like dirt, stone, and wooden planks for building houses early. But with enough cleverness, you're able to build some really nice things with a limited amount of resources early in Minecraft, which is why today I've made this video showing you how to create a simple starter house in Minecraft, one that's efficient, one that is easy to live in, one that's easy to renovate if you want to expand later in the game or create maybe a storage system to have all of your things, and one that's very resource friendly. So here we go. This is how to build a simple starter house in Minecraft. Depending what biome you spawn in, you'll have access to a different range of building blocks. However, for today, I'm starting in a spruce forest, as I think the opportunities you have for constructing things here are pretty wide if you clear out some trees. It's just generally a nice backdrop for a wide variety of builds. And I think that the various types of planks and logs and things that can be found here just really look nice. So as you can see, I've cleared out a small area in the forest here. Some of the leaves are still waiting to despawn, but just a few trees out of the way to give us a bit of space to build the starter house. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that we want to do here is sort of build the basic foundation of our starter house. So to do that, I think I'm going to use a mix of stone and andesite. Now, it seems a bit weird to use multiple blocks for the base foundation, but it actually looks quite nice when you mix in different textures. So I'm going to start by building the basic stone framework here. It's going to wrap around like this, and there we go. And now I'm going to mix in a bit of this andesite to get this really cool sort of mixed effect with build. So if we there. Yeah, so as you can see, I didn't only use stone, but I also used andesite, giving the build a very nice patterned texture.
Now that we have our basic structure, we're going to try to add sort of a second layer to the build. To do this, we're going to use spruce logs on the outside. Now, it may look a bit weird at first because it lacks contrast with the rest of the forest, but with the use of a simple axe of any kind, we can simply right-click the various blocks of log to create stripped spruce logs, which have much better contrast with the rest of the forest. So as you can see, I'm adding these pillars around the edge, using the axe on them, and there we go. So now we have our 4 pillars around the outer area of our build, and this will look a bit better once we have the main walls in. So now it's time to add the main bulk of the build, which is the basic walls. Now, as you can see, I'm not only using spruce planks, which are quite easily accessible in a forest of this kind, but I'm thinking about adding a bit of oak in. See, I'm sort of planning to do the same sort of thing I did with the base here, except in a way that it sort of mixes the design, unless... No, this doesn't look great. Alright, tell you what, we'll just stick with the spruce here, for now. I may add it in the more detailed phases of the build later, but for now we're just going to do the basic design of our structure. So, it'll go up a bit like that. Very nice. So, it's not looking great at the moment, I will admit it, but it will soon begin to look better. Now, this is just the basic area, but once we have the roof in and windows and a bit more detail overall, you'll definitely notice a change in how it looks. Another key element of Minecraft structures is a bit of depth. So as you can see, this is a pretty simple build at the moment, not much to it. But if we add a slight back area going through here, how should we do this? We just remove this wall and draw it back a little bit, then we're able to fairly easily create sort of another miniature area of our build here. So what had once been sort of a bland, untextured, almost unfinished design will quickly, through the use of added depth, become a very nice layered build. And that'll be even more so once we add some of the more detailed aspects of the build. So as you can see, I'm re-adding the exterior pulls around the outside. Very nice. So there you go. There is another step in the design process. If we add another layer of planks up here, like so, then that is that. Okay. Now that we have our simple framework here, we can start working on the roof. Now this is, in most builds, the thing that really makes it start to look up, because it adds another layer of detail to it. Now, all we have so far is simple blocks here, but once we get this roof in, it'll have a lot more life to it. Now, as you can see, I'm just going in with a little bit of spruce. I'm sorry, not spruce, dark oak. This is constructed of spruce, but I'm doing the roof out of dark oak because, in my opinion, this sort of a change in building material gives it a really nice amount of contrast. So I'm going to continue this pattern upwards, putting stairs along the outer rims, but never, ever putting the stairs facing in this direction, as that breaks the pattern and just gives the build a bit of a hut-like feel rather than a cabin, which is sort of the plan. So as you can see, I've now put the roof in around the entire build, layering it in various areas to give it a nice bit of depth, but even though I have tried my best to make it look good, it still falls a bit flat. There's not a substantial amount of detail, and other than the fact that it is composed of stairs and I have made them a bit thick to avoid it having sort of a flat look, and I have layered them, it still looks a bit boring, to be honest. There's not much going on. But I have the perfect solution to that. See, with the use of stone bricks, we can actually create a nice effect when we're going around the exterior of the build by putting stone bricks on sort of a number of the layers of this, which contrasts quite nicely because the bricks are some of the lightest blocks in the game with a very bright gray, while the dark oak is a very dark color. It's being called dark oak. So if we just layer it around the outside here, obviously I'm not doing a great job on the top, I will come back to it though, we can sort of just do that, fix this here, because this, I mean, that just doesn't work. So we've got to make sure that we get all the areas of the front and sides with the bricks. And you can see already that gives it a very nice added amount of depth going around. So I am going to continue doing this, and hopefully, if I keep at it, it will give it a nice added amount. One thing to note is early in the game, these can be somewhat difficult to come by, so if you're struggling to smelt enough cobblestone and craft them into bricks, feel free to substitute this for just basic cobblestone. You know, they both work, they both look good, it's just for the purposes of this build, I'm going to be using this. Now, I'm not completely sure what to do here, it's a bit of a architectural dilemma, but yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll stick with this. Architectural dilemma. Didn't think I'd say that today. So there you have it. Putting stone bricks around the edge really gives it a nice added layer of depth. Like, this already looks substantially better than it had without the bricks. In fact, I really didn't like it at all back then. So our next step is to continue to add detail around the front. Now, there are a few ways of doing this, but I think I'll start by adding in a couple of windows. So I've gone around with the old glass panes, and I've added a few windows. Initially, I had made it so there are quite a few more, but I decided that after a while, a build of this sort of a rustic feeling shouldn't have that many. It also doesn't help that glass panes are fairly modern-looking blocks, so I've come up with a solution to this. With the use of light gray stained glass panes, we can actually make them a bit musty in places. It looks a bit weird because I'm running Optifine, so certain textures connect here and there, but in my opinion, it adds a nice sort of aged effect to the glass. So if we dot a bit of this here and there, perfect. It's looking better already. Oh, not there. So as you can see, the light gray glass has given it a very rustic effect. But we're not done with window detail yet. You see, we can actually make some very nice window sills with the use of both podzol and some dark oak trapdoors. As you can see, I'm sort of putting it around the bottom of the window and putting the trapdoors around that in order to create a nice effect, and so that we hide the bottom of the ugly dirt with this, we just add some of that. So as you can see, it's sort of a flower windowsill area, and it's a bit bare without flowers. So let's see here, what should we add? I'm thinking, well, I don't know, it seems like a bit of an old building, so maybe dead bush, fern, grass perhaps. Let's see how this works. Maybe red. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we'll go around to the other high windows in the build if I've got any. No, it doesn't look like there are many other places for a windowsill, so we'll just stick with this one here. Let me just punch some of this foliage, get that out of the way before we move on to our next step. Perfection. Now we're going to add even more trapdoor detail. Now you might have noticed that the poles, the ones that run along the outside of the exterior here, they look a bit bare. But if we add some trapdoors to them, like so, if I can actually click it, then it makes quite a nice added bit of detail to have them going around. So I'm simply going to add a bit of this to every one, destroy a bit more of the environment here. There we are. Put this on. Nice. I'll continue to do this with the rest of them. Lovely. I really like where this is going. I think that for now at least we can safely say that our exterior is looking pretty full. So if we head on to the inside, oh, this is a mess. Alright, tell you what, we'll work on this now. To start, we definitely want to make it so that you can't see any of this stair stuff from the inside. However, we want to be very careful not to damage any of the things on the outside. So say if we break this here, then there's a very noticeable gap in the roof. So we got to be careful not to do anything like this. Now I've got to go back in from here, darn it. Okay, I think I've been doing a pretty good job covering up this bit. In fact, I might actually consider using spruce stairs to actually add an extra bit on the... Does this look good? I really don't know. Alright, I'll come to it. I think I'm actually going to divide this into floors here because we have a decent amount of space down here. Usually I like to have 4 block high ceilings, but this will do. I've actually gone ahead with using slabs instead of solid blocks for the upper layer because, as you can see, it gives us an extra half block of headspace down here, and equally importantly, it lets us jump around a tiny bit up here. As you can see, I've also gone with my initial idea of covering this up just because I feel that it gives it a bit of a more complete look. As an added bonus, this is perfectly level with our nice little window here, so that works out quite well. Sorry if my voice was scratchy in that bit. It's kind of early in the morning. We're actually going to build a ladder going up here because I don't really think that a staircase would fit the build very well, and it would be a bit inconvenient for spatial purposes here. We're kind of running low on space. It's a bit of a compact build. Also, I've checked this area, and it doesn't really look like there's space here, so we can't utilize this. However, it does kind of provide an awkward little, like, I really don't know. Maybe you could, like, hide a barrel in here, a chest, put your valuables. There isn't any space to hook it up to some redstone circuitry, that's for sure, unless you're really good at compact redstone, but as far as I know, it would make a pretty good space for hiding something. Anyways, if we grab our ladder, we can, there we are, we'll bring it up here so that we have a nice, easy way to ascend to the top. If I put myself into survival mode here, we can just sort of, there we go. Now that we've done that, I think that there's another pretty important thing to address. As you can see, we have no floor, and as much as I like being able to walk on glass, I think you'll agree that it gives the build a pretty incomplete look, just having nothing to walk on except for this grass. So I'm going to go ahead and put something here. I'm having trouble thinking of what to put here because as much as I do like these stripped various types of log, I feel like we've kind of already used that design on the outside, and it also just kind of blends a lot, and I want to give this build a bit more contrast than it already has. The problem is, though, we don't really have a ton of options because the stone is already what we use for the outside, and I feel like it would be a bit weird if it carries on through the floor. But you know what? I think I might actually go with sort of a tiled pattern between stripped dark oak wood and stripped spruce wood. We'll see how this looks. Moment of truth. Huh. It certainly looks interesting. I don't really think I've played around with sort of a flooring design like this before. It wasn't really what I had pictured, but I suppose it's actually pretty nice for this. I feel like it would be good as a ceiling too, but as we've already used oak wood and there certainly aren't any stripped wood slabs, because that would be way too long an item name, I feel like we should just stick with this. It's nice. Now I feel like I should add a bit more detail to the build. You can see that on the outside we've already got a bit of that, excuse me, hiccup. I've been drinking quite a bit of tea this morning in attempts to correct my throat scratchiness. Sorry. I feel like it would be a good idea if we added a bit more interior. Like, behind me you can see that there's not a ton going on in here except for the nice floor pattern. But both down here and up there, I feel like we can definitely add some stuff. So let's get started on that. I feel like the downstairs area will sort of be the living space, you know, maybe a chair or two. We have limited options for furniture, of course, because of the space. But I think to start, I'll add sort of a bit of scaffolding here. Perhaps I'll use this as a table of sorts. You can sort of see that, you know, it's got the legs certainly, so maybe I can put something on it and it'll pass as that. Not sure how that'll work yet. Actually, this works well. I've got nice potted mushroom on there. It's pretty good. And there. Now we've also got a simple chair, so we can just sit here and stare at our glorious mushroom. Not sure why we would do this, but who knows? Mushrooms are nice. I'll just sit here and stare at it for a while I think of the next furniture item. I've gone ahead and built this simple birch wardrobe upstairs. I plan to furnish it with perhaps some armor stands. Armor stand trickery is no easy feat. Much better. Okay, so I've got my armor stands in. Now all that's left to do here is just to give them some clothing. That wasn't so difficult. Perfect. You'll never guess who lives in this house. I've also added a bed and a table so that I actually have somewhere to sleep. And on the first floor, I've also thrown in a nice big screen TV and a comfy armchair. Who says log cabins can't be luxurious? Now, I know what you're thinking. How is this in any way a starter house? Well, here's the thing. Despite the fact that its interior may not have simple things to build out of, the majority of the build is comprised of fairly easy-to-get materials, especially in the beginning of the game. Now, I know that still, you know, you've got pretty hard-to-find things on the inside, like concrete and nether things, but you really don't have to build with them. That's just an example of some ways you can furnish a house. Now, the really useful stuff is going to come soon. For example, a storage system and all the things that you actually need for survival Minecraft, especially at the beginning of the game. If you really wanted to, you could actually just put your chests and valuables and all of that on the inside of here instead of, you know, useless just for show furniture. Theoretically, you could even put armor here, though it probably wouldn't be a very effective way of storing it, as it can just be thrown in chests. Now, this log cabin has a bit of a secret. As you can see, the TV remote is just sort of resting on the armchair here, but if you press it down, then a block is pulled back, revealing the area with all of the actual useful Minecraft stuff and not just home furnishings. So if we head down here, as of right now, it hasn't got much to it. It's simply a dirt hole. But what I'm going to do right now is transform this dirt hole into a completed Minecraft underground base. And of course, it's going to be something that you wouldn't build at the beginning of the game, and this is just if you do intend to build a log cabin like this once you have access to valuable resources. And if you're wondering what I did to make this work, it's a very simple redstone circuit. It's not even much of a circuit. It's just a piece of redstone dust underneath here, and when the button is pressed, it sends a redstone signal to deactivate this redstone torch, which in turn pulls back the piston. So let's get started on building down here. I'm just going to sort of build a tunnel downwards, covering the walls and courts as I go. This seems about deep enough. We'll put a sea lantern there. And this will sort of empty out into the main underground area. And like I said, this part of the video is not at all about the starter house. This is just proving that even after you've gotten through Minecraft and you're doing pretty well with decent materials and armor and tools, it's a good idea to revisit old builds and see how they can be improved upon. For example, a very basic spruce starter house, like the one above me, can be improved upon by adding a hidden network of storage areas underneath it, as I'm attempting to build right now. So here's what I've got so far. You shoot down the hole, and of course, normally you would land in water, but that is kind of redundant because at the moment I'm in creative mode. But as you can see, we've got a very pearly white entrance to our underground area, lair, whatever you'd like to call it. And of course, this could go as far down as you'd like, or sideways in any direction. This is just a simple example of how someone can go back to something that's good, but spruce it up a bit, make it so that after a while it can change, it can evolve, sort of as the starter house above me has into this large underground sci-fi area. In the interest of time, I didn't complete all of it, but you get the idea. So let's go back through our build, shall we? On the outside, we've got a simple stone and spruce wood exterior. It's got a nice bit of detail to it, but nothing too special. Pretty basic. Easy to build if you're just starting out your world, and a good way to make something that looks good, but isn't too difficult for you. Now, if we go inside, we can see that it has some furnishings, things that normally you wouldn't include in your house when you're first starting out Minecraft. Upstairs, we've got a lovely wardrobe with some clothing inside. We've got a bed, table, back down the ladder. Nice TV, nice chair with a hidden secret. If we press the button, we're launched down into this underground area where we can freely access our storage space. And that, everyone, is how to build a spruce starter house in Minecraft. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you left a like, maybe even subscribed. It would be cool if you commented below if there's anything else you want to see on this channel. But as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.